Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Sandy Springs, Georgia, it's time for Sandy Springs Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Lee Kantor here with Rachel Simon, another episode of Sandy Springs Business Radio, and this one is brought to you by Connect the Dots Digital. When you're ready to leverage LinkedIn to meet your business goals, go to connectthedots.digital. Rachel, what a show we got planned for today.
Yeah, we're going to have a fun conversation. I'm really happy to have actually a friend of mine joining us today that we met through good old-fashioned networking. So always fun when you get to meet your, networking and LinkedIn pals in person. But I'm very happy to welcome Laura Doman here to join us. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you so much for having me.
We're thrilled to have you here, and you have such a fun story. So let's start with your background. So you used to be a IT sales professional, and you transitioned into professional acting / helping corporate leaders show up on camera with confidence. So tell us a little bit about how do you get from point A to point B?
Yeah, it's a bit of a right turn in there, isn't there? Well, you start off with somebody who loves two very different things, business and entertainment. I was the kid that was always putting on the shows, and I was behind the mic in high school reading the morning announcements, but I love business. And my parents weren't crazy about any kind of a career in the entertainment industry. In fact, they went so far as saying, we're not putting you through college to be an actor. So I followed the business route, and I enjoyed it. I always liked tech, and I liked sales, marketing, finance, and I put it all together. And I did that for a number of years. But on the side, if I ever could sneak out of a sales meeting, I was doing a commercial, or I was doing, a little film role. In the weekends, I would be doing some stage. The big turn happened when I had my first child. I thought that I would be traveling around with a little kid on my back and no problem, and reality hit. Because I had a travel job. 10 states, there was no way I was going to ever be home. And I just decided I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom, and which I did. And I did other work on the side. But when it came time to realize I got a lot of ambition left over, I want to do something, I want my own business, I decided, I think I'm going to follow my passion. I'm going to turn things on the head. Instead of having all my theatrical flair supporting a sales career, I'm going to have that business acumen supporting an entertainment career. So I launched into acting on screen, followed by voiceover. And then when I realized that there are a lot of business people out there who need to use videos and to show up as uniquely human and be engaging and get comfortable, there we go, a brainstorm. Let's see what I can do to help them too.
I love that story. And I think that, it's interesting when you kind of let your passions, but also the things you're really good at, kind of help push you down a certain path. And obviously, our listeners can tell you've got a great voice. We can hear, you could absolutely picture you. And I always listen for commercials of like, could that be Laura on there? So yeah, it's great. I know you're going to share lots of good tips for the audience today. So let's talk about why it's so important for leaders, for business leaders, to be able to show up authentically. And we use that word, in the online space all the time. And sometimes it has lost a little bit of its meaning. But realistically, why is it so important to be able to show up and be able to connect with your target market?
Well, I think essentially everybody's BS meters have ratcheted up 10 levels or more. We are inundated with all kinds of schemes and scams and come-ons. People we don't know telling us, our LinkedIn profile needs help and our SEO is failing and this or that and the other thing. And there are very few true professionals like yourself who can really help people. And people are on the defense. They're not sure what is real, what isn't. You see all kinds of things being done with technology. You see AI. What is written by a human? What is authentically coming from somebody else? And so we have our guards up. We don't know what's true and what isn't. Now, what are some of the best ways to show that you are a real person? That is through video. There's also the audio component. Now, some people will say AI is getting awfully good with AI voices, but they yet cannot show that human spirit behind it, the emotion, the connection to the material, to the person who's sitting, let's say, right across the table from you. But on video, and I think LinkedIn shows this better than anything else, that is how you're going to really forge a relationship. That's how you're going to communicate. And it's not just outward facing to your leads or your clients, but it's even inward to your own employees. Let's say that you're a corporate executive and you have a staff and you are trying to get them to adopt some new initiatives, or there's a change of mission. They don't want to see a talking head, somebody who seems disconnected. They're just up in their ivory tower. They have no idea what it's like for us. But if you know how to use video properly and show that you're a real human being with real concerns and that you do care for them, and I certainly hope that they do, that comes across. And the same thing is true whether you're dealing with the outside world or with people in your own work area.
Now, in your work in sales, can you explain maybe some of the low-hanging fruit or the tactics that you use, like to bridge acting and communicating as an actor, that a salesperson might be able to utilize when they're talking to a prospect or a customer?
Oh, absolutely, because the fear and the anxiety permeate no matter what type of public speaking you're doing. And face it, when you're in sales, that's publicly speaking to another human being or a group of people. So how do you come across as a real person and not somebody who's just going to be very, very stiff and disconnected? First of all, relate to the other person. Now, when you're in sales, hopefully you've done a little bit of homework and you understand the company and you understand the business and the role they have. Talk to them from their perspective. What are the problems that they are facing? What are the challenges? And most people love anybody who listens. Asking good questions is always paramount. And then you take in what they're saying, and you could capsulize it and offer some suggestions. Now, when I was with IBM, we learned the art of the consultative sale. That's not your used car salesman saying, buy this, buy that, buy. It's listening to where somebody is, seeing where they want to go, and maybe there's a way that we can help you go and bridge from one to the other. So I would say careful listening, talk to somebody else, and when you are talking to somebody, really listen. Don't think about the next thing you're about to say. Look at their eyes. Get some cues. Don't be fake and say, oh, I see a picture of the family there, or let's talk about sports. I mean, that's a nice way to start off. But the real connection is when you get to understand why you're meeting and you let them know you understand that too.
I would imagine too that like the ability, again, using the acting skills to pick up on nonverbal cues can be very informative in those conversations as well.
Acting is reacting. That's really all it is. They don't want somebody going out there just performing and they're all in their own head and it's over the top. Just like when you're talking to an individual or a group of people, they don't want presentational. The goal is to be more conversational, which is where everything is going in voiceover right now, so that you feel like you're hearing somebody talking to you like a best friend. And again, you're listening and you're caring. So you're not so much concerned with yourself. You're focused in on the message. You don't worry so much whether you're talking to a person in sales or whether you're going to be doing a voiceover or putting together a video and you're on camera. Do not worry about how do I look? How do I sound? Worrying about me. What am I going to say next? React to what they have to say. It might take you off to a different tangent, but you might find it much more effective.
Now, is that kind of a mistake you see maybe younger people or newer people to sales make, is they're so focused on memorizing every feature and that the product or service has that they're just kind of focused in on that rather than doing that active listening and understanding the problem that your prospect has so you can possibly provide a solution rather than just kind of spew out a bunch of facts and figures.
If we want somebody to regurgitate it, we can just program Rosie the robot, set her off, and she could probably say it very articulately and just as quickly as you want. Or you could pick up a brochure and see the same thing. I can read what's in front of me. Just like people, if you're ever giving a presentation, please do not put the words on the slides and read from the slides. Nobody likes being read to unless maybe you're a 5 years old and there's a fairy tale involved there. It doesn't work. You have to put it in your own experience. So whether you're talking to a sales prospect or people you don't even know who'll be watching you, take the information and think about it, how I can serve you. This is your issue. Now let me repackage it. But don't go reading down a whole list. And as far as memorization, that's helpful when you're training so you really understand what your company's products and services are. But you'll be so busy trying to remember every single word that you're going to lose connection with the person. You're going to lose the context that it makes sense. And all it does sound like is a long recitation. In fact, I would even say for actors, when you have super long monologues and you are self-taping an audition, which is the way it works in film and TV these days, you can hold that script, know it very, very well. If you want to memorize it, fine. But you can still speak from your own experience and have your eyes glance to make sure you're following along and you haven't missed an important point. That is true whether you're going to be talking to somebody across the table and you have your papers, you can look down. Oh, look, yeah, see, this is what we have, and you can point to it. Or if you're giving a presentation that you're going to be able to speak from your knowledge and just refer to a few key phrases up there. Or have something on hand that you can look at as well.
That's really helpful. And I think it's so important to kind of, again, remember that we're trying to build trust in those conversations. And so if you're just worrying about saying the next thing that you're supposed to say, that does not help build the level of trust that you need to get to that yes. I want to shift a little bit to the leaders. And, when you're working with your clients, your C-levels who want to show up better, what is the barrier? What is scaring them about video or just being more confident when speaking?
Well, it depends on the individual and where they're coming from. And you'd be surprised by how many executives have forgotten the art of in-person networking and conversation. And you have to keep that in mind when you're speaking on camera as well. I think a lot of them think that I have these bullet points to cover, and they forget about showing the human element. Sometimes they're more focused on getting all the words right instead of with the meaning. Maybe they are nervous, and so you have people who use a lot of filler words. And you could tell what they are by generation. Like. Before that you had, every other word. And before that was,
Mine is so.
So, there's all kinds of stuff you could throw in, and it's a matter of slowing down. If you really want to be effective, take your time. Have you noticed I'm using pauses? Most people, like E.F. Hunton, are going to lean and say, now what? You don't have to be overly dramatic, but don't get all those words out in a spew. Nobody needs a torrent thrown at them. Give people time to process it. You can also vary your pacing and even your volume. A lot of executives are afraid to allow their personal stuff, their emotion to come through. People love to see the human being behind the facade, especially if you're in a position of power, which is why you're going to see, and I hate to bring it up because we just finished this election, political season where they are going to show their real people just like you and me, whatever it is. Hopefully it's real and not contrived. But people like to see the real human being, and they feel then that this is somebody I can relate to. If you're talking about authenticity, about being genuine, about being human, you want to be a little vulnerable. Now, that doesn't mean you have to share your secrets with your spouse or any of the major problems you're dealing with. But you could just kind of say, yeah, like I was talking to my daughter, or we just saw this movie, little things like that. Don't be afraid to be a real human being, because especially with younger generations, they want somebody that they can trust. You say the know, like, and trust. Sometimes that trust has to come first before they want to get to know you, before they decide they like you, and whether or not you're credible in their minds.
That's so interesting. Do you think that there's any challenge, again, with leaders getting so concerned about making sure they're hitting all their corporate communication talking points? Because I know the larger you get in a size company, the more control often marketing wants over the messaging. But then it kind of makes it harder to personalize and make more engaging.
And that's where I would say throw in a little personality. If you've got somebody who's got a natural sense of humor, as long as it's good-natured and well-intentioned, a little humor can be quite disarming. You do have to get your talking points in. And I was, in fact, speaking to a group of executives back last spring, and it was very much on this subject. Don't be afraid to put in a little personal story. Don't be afraid to call out other people in a positive way. Give credit to those who are supporting you. They often work ignored, or they're relegated to the back, and maybe they are the credits at the final bottom of some story. But say, look, for example, let's talk about John and what he's done to bring his department from 10% up to 12% greater efficiency. Or I want you to hear the story of, Eloise, who joined us, and now look where she is. Recognize your people. That's also a sign of good management. But bring them into the conversation. They don't have to be physically on the call with you or on the video with you. But let them know that they're included, and therefore other people will see that you do care about your people, whether you're an employee or a client, and that you're thinking beyond yourself. And you can still include all those talking points. Just keep them there in front of you. But don't be afraid of thinking I only have 10 minutes and I'm going to be in and out like that, and boom, that's the end they're going to see of me. That's not good. Take the time, especially with these younger generations.
Now, what challenge is your next client having right now where you're the best solution for them? Is it that they have a talk they have to give? Is it they just had a talk and it didn't go the way they wanted? Like, what is kind of the mindset right before they hire you?
I see people coming to me for all different reasons. And I'll just give you one example. A small business owner who needs to be on social media and needs to promote, let's say, her business, but doesn't have a great budget to do it. What I would do is, first of all, saying I can walk you from soup to nuts. If you ever have done any videos before, let's take a look at what you've got. How can that be improved? What are you doing right? What, maybe we want to tweak a little bit. And then find out, how comfortable are you on social media? How comfortable are you in front of the camera? Do you need to know how to set it up for yourself? Do you know basic editing? There are ways of being able to do this very inexpensively. And while there's some outstanding video production companies out there, you don't need to spend a fortune. In fact, the best videos going on right now are the short vertical ones that you see in stories or reels. And these are 60 to 90 seconds. They can even be only 10 seconds. I prove my point by creating a video series I call Momisms. They're these little sayings when you walk into a gift shop and you see them on towels and cocktail napkins, silly things like, and I act them out, like I'm a mom in the kitchen making a chocolate cake, and I'll look up at the camera and say, good moms, let you lick the beater. Great moms, turn them off first. It gives you a chuckle, but it makes you memorable. And it doesn't have to be very long. So whatever their strength or weakness is, we can work around that. They don't even have to be the person speaking on camera. They don't even have to be the person on camera. But if they are, then I'm going to help them figure out what is your core message and how can we get it across in a unique, memorable way. Because 80% of all content out there pretty much is video, or at least that's what people are watching. LinkedIn has its own video feed now of vertical. If you're going and wondering why we're not seeing more television shows and movies, that is because most people in the Gen Z and even young millennial are going to YouTube for their content, and they're going to Instagram, and they're going to TikTok. And guess what? If you're making up something that's memorable and interesting, that's what they will see. That's what they will remember. The commercials, the ads I'm in, tend to be humorous because they want to grab people's attention. So I will help people understand that when you're making a video, you have to hit it right out of the gate. You've got 3-4 seconds, maybe tops, to get their attention. It doesn't have to be whiz bang, but you've got to get right to what they are wanting to know at the very, very beginning. And people need to learn how to do it. You also have to look like you're comfortable on camera. So there are a lot of people who just say, like my sister, oh my gosh, I don't even want to be on a Zoom call. I sit there with the camera off and I hope they don't call on me. There are ways of getting comfortable beforehand with the food, the beverages that you're drinking or not drinking, how you can even relax into your body with some exercises, vocal warm-ups. There are all kinds of things like that. And then understanding how to use the camera itself. A lot of people want to know, how is that different from just talking, let's say, to Rachel across here? Well, small is big when you're looking on camera. Take a look at your movie theater where somebody's face fills up the whole screen, and you never know what they're going to see you on. It could be a cell phone. It could be a giant TV screen. So I help people understand the media and be able to conquer any problems they might have, like using filler words and stumbling, shifting weight, not knowing where they should be looking, moving out of frame. So I can take them anywhere, and then I love to focus on dynamic delivery, how to really be able to pace yourself, how to make people lean in and listen, not just what you say, but how you say it. So it's bringing a lot of acting techniques right to the business world.
Yeah, there's so many things that you said, to unpack there. So, I love the tips of hitting it out of the gate, because so many people start their video and go, "Hi, it's me, Rachel Simon with blah, blah, blah." And you're wasting people's attention, right? Just get into the topic. But I know for myself personally, video is challenging. It is not my favorite medium. Looking at this iPhone camera it's not so easy to where exactly am I supposed to look? It is not that easy nor intuitive. Now for our generation, not for our kids, they know what they're doing. So just being able to have those tips I can imagine is tremendously useful. Yeah.
Can I give you one tip for everybody out there
that
will save you a lot of aggravation? When you are talking to the camera, talk to one person, because it's a very intimate environment. Usually you are watching a video on your own, and you are seeing somebody close up. And if you talk to somebody like they're sitting in front of you and it's a friend or somebody who's really supportive of you, you're going to come across so much better than if you were just speaking from a script and just getting the words out. You could tell the difference in the tone. There's warmth and emotion versus, all right, this is what I'm going to cover and I can't wait to be done. That kind of attitude.
That's a really good tip. I do want to ask your opinion on the videos on LinkedIn, because and if you're not aware of what we're talking about, on your mobile app, there's a video tab now. So similar again to vertical videos, you can scroll through. I personally have found them to be tremendously dull. And there's a lot of this is a day in the life of a project manager, blah, blah, blah. What do you think of those videos, and how can we improve them?
Well, they're not going to stop the scroll, are they? I just go past them. And if I see too many of them, I'm not going to want to bother with that video feed. But if I see something where somebody's doing something different and unusual, and they get to the point and they tell me something I want to know within a few seconds, that made my time worthwhile, because we only have so much time. And personally, I like to gather information, or I want to be entertained. I just don't need somebody who's just dithering about what they had for dinner. That's one reason I have my momisms out there, and I hope they make the feed, because it's just like a quick little laugh, boom, and 5 seconds later, you're on your way.
They are entertaining. I will watch the ones if I recognize a friend who's on there, but most of them so far have been uninspiring, to say the least.
Now, do you have a feel for how many videos a person should be releasing, and what rhythm should they be releasing them?
It depends on what they're doing it for. Now, if you want to grow your LinkedIn presence, Rachel's the expert, and she might just tell you that you want to be posting or at least appearing online on LinkedIn at least 3 times a week, 2 to 3, whatever you can do. If you can only do once a week, fine. Don't scare yourself or put yourself with a bar so high that you'll never attain it, or worse, never even get started. You do what's comfortable. Now, if the important thing is to do it consistently and to have a regular schedule. So if you only want to do one longer video, maybe once a month, that's fine. If you want to do a short video once a week or once every 2 weeks, that's okay too. But know what you're going to be speaking about. Set yourself a schedule, and your audience will know to look for you. The other thing I would tell people is to keep a YouTube channel handy. It is an enormous repository for everything you're doing. You could create your playlists, and furthermore, YouTube is the number 2 search engine after Google. And incidentally, Google owns YouTube, and they will find you both for short and for long videos there. and it's a way to repurpose your content. So if it's scary to put out a video and you only want to do it, let's say once a week, once every 2 weeks, know that it can be used in multiple places and you don't have to reshoot it. Just when you post it on LinkedIn, you're going to give it a business slant. When you're going to be putting it on TikTok, you're going to give it more of an entertainment one. It's geared to your audience, whoever they might be.
Now, when you're saying long and short, what is kind of the time window of long and what's the time window of short?
Typically, long would be anything that's more than 1 minute. I think short videos pretty much now have kind of bled into that. Short videos have always been considered under 1 minute because that's how, let's say, Instagram would cap it. You only had 1 minute to create a vertical short video. Now they're extending it to 90 seconds. So a long video is typically, let's say, a couple minutes to however long you want it. But just keep in mind that you don't want to make anything overly long, because if you want to do well and if you want your videos to be pushed out, be aware of the analytics. And the analytics look good when people see as much of that video as possible, all of it if you can. And if you could take a big subject and divide them up into shorter videos, each one will get more eyeballs, you'll have more consistency and presence, and chances are people will watch it to the end. Furthermore, if you make them very short and people are interested, the thing will recycle. And you're going to get extra numbers where somebody might have end up watching it 2 or 3 times. So it's a matter of what you're trying to explain, and each type fits a particular purpose.
Yeah, nothing is like a...
No one size fits all.
Well, that's true. But I was going to say nothing makes me kind of just keep scrolling on LinkedIn than if I see a video of just somebody talking and the timestamp is 3, 4, 5 minutes long. I'm like,
no,
nope, not going to watch it.
Our attention spans are way too long, which is why I've been experimenting to see how short I can get it to still make it valuable without it sounding rushed. Because I tend to pack a lot of value into things, and I've looked over some of my older stuff for 1 minute videos, and it's like I'm just, spitting it all out. And I probably could have broken that into 2 or 3 instead and taken more time and had more fun with it.
But the trends change over time,
Sure
right?
they do.
And, the functionality changes. So now we have, automatic captions on LinkedIn that we didn't used to have, auto captions. The other thing I get, oh God, I keep saying, now I'm like so aware of it. Not double captioning your videos as well, because that is very distracting.
It is. It's double visioning. That's for certain. In fact, I was just uploading a video last night to LinkedIn, and make sure you always turn off that captions. Now, I personally prefer captioning it outside of LinkedIn or outside of a tool, just because I'm a stickler for accuracy, and I don't like to see some of these automatic captioning tools misspelling people's names or taking a word wrong. And there's so many great tools out there. In fact, for my super short ones, I'll even use Instagram because I can use different styles. Or CapCut is great.
Yeah, I use Instagram if I do a video because I like the look of the captions on there, and then I don't post it on Instagram because I don't do much on there, but we'll download it and then upload it to LinkedIn.
That is the trick. If you're going to use Instagram or TikTok or anything else for that kind of captioning, download it before you post it so you don't get their watermark. But they have fun little stickers and little gifts that you could put in there. They even had a font for Halloween. So when I had a Halloween themed video, it looks spooky.
Yeah. I mean, it is a lot easier to make nice looking videos today than even 2 or 3 years ago, I think.
Absolutely. And just keep in mind how people will look at it on their phones. Or if they're going to be putting it on the desktop, make sure that it still translates well for the mobile device. So if you're going to be creating a video, it's very important to have an attractive thumbnail. That's a picture that's like a placeholder for it, and a title. And you want to use keywords, but you want to make it attention grabbing and make the words, if you're having words show up on that thumbnail, large so people can see it at a glance, and don't overdo it with too many words on a thumbnail.
And you can create that thumbnail in Canva or something?
Absolutely. That's what I do. Or you can even grab a screenshot of a video, use that, and then overlay it with some text.
That's a great tip. Great tip. Well, we covered a lot of ground here. Lots of really fantastic tips and guidance for, again, showing up more confidently. Video. I mean, video is not going to go anywhere. I think we're only going to see more and more focus and dependence on video content for many, many reasons, but the trust factor, I think, is a big one of those reasons to expedite that relationship with our audience. So thank you for all of your tips.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, if somebody wants to learn more, have a more substantive conversation with you, is there a website? Is there a best way to connect?
There sure is. My website is lauradoman.com. They can also find me on LinkedIn at Laura Doman. And I even have a YouTube channel, Laura Doman. So I try to go for consistency here.
And that's Doman, D-O-M-A-N, like Roman.
Yeah, like Roman with a D. Very good, yeah. Laura-Doman. And I even have a free offer if anybody would like to have that. If you go to my website, and you can even do at the end of lauradoman.com/consulting, or you could find it on the tabs if you just go to the main website. I'm offering a couple of things. One, you can download a PDF of my top 10 tips for looking great on camera, for being dynamic. And also, if you've got a question or you just like to explore and see how I can help you, I'm offering a free 15-minute consult. We can assess a current video, talk about something you're dealing with, or whatever you like, even about the acting and voiceover industry.
That's great. And those are two fantastic resources I would highly encourage people to take advantage of. And I love the idea of being able to come to you with a video and say what worked here, what didn't work, and how can I improve it.
Now, Rachel, usually we do a LinkedIn tip. Do you think we got one in there? Or
sure. I mean, we talked
with a lot of video.
We got a lot. I would suggest my tip is challenge yourself to try video if you've never done it before. We all have these studios in our hands with our, mobile phones, and I'll make a deal. I'll do it if you do it, because I don't love making videos, but I will make a video. So I'm going to challenge the audience to do it as well. And if you do, tag me on LinkedIn.
Right. They tag you and then you'll make another one, right?
I'll just keep doing them.
Keep doing them.
Yep.
Until you keep tagging her.
Or tag me and I'll nudge her.
There you go. Good stuff. Well, thank you, Laura, for sharing your story today. You're doing such important work and we appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. This is Lee Kantor for Rachel Simon. We'll see you all next time on Sandy Springs Business Radio.